But just as I'm beginning to think this is one of the most frustrating sights we've encountered in a long time, we make our first proper medieval find.
Gentlemen, I think that might interest you something.
Oh, that's a bit nice, isn't it?
This little coin is a major discovery because we suspect it dates to before the time of the current manor house.
That's a little penny, isn't it? Long cross? Long cross penny.
Got the cross on one side, hasn't it?
Well, I'm not entirely sure, because if you have a close look at it, there appears to be a cross on both sides.
Let me put my glasses on.
Look.
And would you believe it, it's not from the garden, it's from the moat field that we dismissed as having nothing medieval in it.
What we can say is this is earlier than the manor house, isn't it? Now, it might just be someone dropped out of a pocket or a purse walking across the field. It could be something like that. But that proves that there were people in this field earlier than the manor house.
It's now the end of a perplexing day too. Well, it's perplexed most of us, although there is one man who seems to be content with the results of his labours.
I really am over the moon. I mean, not only have we got our piece of Bronze Age pot, but more importantly, we've now not got one Bronze Age ditch, but 3 ditches. And the beauty of that is that it implies that people have been living here for such a more extended length of time. So we've got prehistoric occupation here for probably hundreds, if not thousands of years.
And not only that, you've got some rather good finds.
Very, very surprising finds. We have not one, but 2 medieval coins.
What sort of date?
14th century.
If they're 14th century, am I right in saying it is medieval, but it's earlier than our house?
Absolutely, yeah. We've finally extended activity back earlier than the present house.
The Pritchards, who owned Llancaiach Manor, had lived in the area since the 1200s, and yet this house was built much later, although no one's ever come up with an exact date. I hope he's in after all this. Until now. Nigel, you've got a dendro date for us?
I have, and that date is AD 1548 to 1565.
1548 to 1565, and you're pretty certain about that?
Yeah, absolutely, it's black and white.
OK, thanks ever so much, mate. Bye. You murmured the word later. Yeah,
well, yes, I mean, sort of all things in the sort of commission volume suggesting around the 1530s, so 1548 to sort of a little bit later than we thought, but we, you know, got a date.
What does that date tell you about the house?
It tells us that the house is more old-fashioned than we thought, really, because, you know, you're looking at the mid-16th century, you don't expect something like this at that date, normally.
So we're a bit in the backwoods then, really, at that point, aren't we?
A little bit, yes.
Just a bit.
And you've been looking after this house and doing all this reconstruction for ages, but you've never actually known how old the house was.
We just, all we knew was around the 1530s. Well, you know, that's just fantastic to know. That's the thing, because we've never known.
With this date of roughly 1550, we've at least answered one of Diane's questions about Llancaiach. It also makes the coins we're finding in the next door field all the more intriguing, because they predate the standing house.
It's either a threepence or a sixpence, most likely of Elizabeth I.
Could it be something a bit special?
It's already special, I think.
As well as this fantastic find, we've also discovered coins that are over 100 years earlier than the current house.
I can see a crown. I can see a crown because we've got one of the there. I'm so excited. I actually knocked the light over. You can see one of the fleur-de-lis is complete in the middle, and you can see a half fleur-de-lis at the end. So that's the angular end of a crown. These marked kind of around 1280, don't they?
But instead of jumping for joy that we've found evidence of an earlier house, the archaeologists have taken a more pragmatic view as to why the coins are here.
This coin could just have been dropped as an accidental loss. It isn't necessarily evidence for earlier activity on this site.
3 or 4 coins, different dates, but all from this area. You've detected all the other spoil and the other trenches, but they're concentrated here. That's interesting.
Do you think that might be evidence of settlement or evidence of trading or what?
It's evidence of where people have been congregating with money in their pockets, and that's routeways, meeting places, that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it would seem that Llancaiach was at a major intersection of routeways.
We've got the house here, and it's quite clear looking at it that it's in a landscape dominated by deep valleys.
The great advantage of the stream, the Llancaiach, coming down there is that it defines for you. We've got a shallow pass running through here that actually allows you to run from east to west across the valleys. Is something that's really quite unique and important for this area.
This is one of the few places that routes from deep in the valleys would meet with east-west traffic. So the coins aren't evidence of a grand early house, but more likely of a dodgy crossroads where for centuries travellers tripped up and lost their loose change.